All know that property development is an extremely capital-intensive business. This is why the property market is expected to continue to face challenges such as geopolitical instability, supply chain disruption, and inflation, which increases the cost of living. Now, the rising raw material costs are also expected to hurt the margin of property companies going forward, as property companies may not be able to fully pass on the rising raw material costs to buyers. So what kind of support do property developers need most? I'm Azaria Tagaya, and this is Money Matters. Now, on the program today, we have President and CEO of EcoWorld Development Group Berhad, Datuk Chang Khim. Hello, Datuk Chang. Thank you so much for joining us on Money Matters.
Thank you for having us.
How are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing very well today.
Thank you so much. That's good to hear. And we are doing excellent now that we're sitting here with you and being able to discuss with you about the property market and also some of the challenges that we're facing. Now, Datuk Chang, if I may, let us just jump into the current market conditions here in Malaysia. Now, you actually mentioned in Q1 of 2022, you announced a 5.1% growth in revenue and also a 13.2% increase in gross profit. Now, this favorable performance you attribute it to, of course, higher sales, as well as the realization of cost savings on both completed as well as near completed phases. Now, with that being said, though, there are still a lot of market challenges that you need to overcome. Inflation being one of them, what with the rising prices of materials and also oil prices. So my question is, how do you actually plan to overcome these challenges that we're facing right now, Datuk Chang?
Well, definitely, cost escalation is one of the headwinds that most property developers are facing.
Yeah.
Right. We can't avoid it. We have to face it. And at EcoWorld, we try to be very proactive about it. We work with a lot of our partners and associates, namely, for example, with our consultants, to make sure that all the designs are very efficient. We don't make mistakes in our drawings. We choose materials that are locally available, right? And also produce in good quantums and in good quantities. We work very closely with our contractors, who are key in our delivery process, right? So we see what's the optimum time they need to construct certain types of buildings. What are the materials they prefer, right? And if we do that properly, we can mitigate quite a lot of unnecessary costs and also have certain control of any escalation that may occur along the way. At our organization, we have our own technical team as well, right? With that, we try and coordinate as best as we can during the construction and during the delivery.
Yeah.
But more importantly, also, we are able to procure certain materials. We don't have a trading company, but we have a procurement department, a division that actually procures selected building materials in quantities, for example, steel or cement, right? Because we do quite a lot of sales per year, maybe an average of 3 to 3.5 billion per year. So there are certain amounts of quantities that we can order in bulk, which also give us a pricing advantage as well.
I see, yeah.
And then we can resupply them back to our contractors.
I see.
So in that way, we can mitigate some of these cost escalations as best as we can.
Interesting.
As best as we can, right?
Yeah.
For interest rates, right? Of course, the world is going through rising interest rates in every country. In fact, in almost every country, right? It affects us in both ends. One is towards our own group, where of course we have loans, right, with banks and all that. Over the last 2 years, right, it's been tough times for everybody during the lockdowns, during the COVID.
Indeed, it has.
Yes, and a lot of us have to work from home. But luckily at EcoWorld, we actually sat down and we reset the way we work and reinvented ourselves, right? And we worked really hard through the COVID years. Surprisingly, even our sales grew during the last two and a half years. We reduced a lot of our debts, right? Our gearing today is very healthy, 0.36. It's not the best, but it's very good, right? That actually helps us to face the potential interest rates hikes again, right? I think we can manage it for the next few years steadily. The other aspect that will affect our business is that our purchasers, obviously, many will take mortgages.
Yeah.
They will take end financing from the banks. But as we do predominantly townships and factories, right, and commercial properties, residential today is a very end user type of situation. So people buy in to stay because they like the security or the environment or the location, and they take a very, very long term, right, because they are staying there. So they are not that bothered. Of course, it hurts it a little bit, but they're not so bothered about the interest rates hikes, right? Because they take a longer term view.
Yeah, it is.
Business owners take a medium term view, right? It may affect some, but by and large, they would also take it over a period of time. So all in all, despite everything, we are still optimistic about the coming years.
I see. All right, that's interesting to hear, Datuk. And you also mentioned just now that you've been working throughout, the COVID-19 pandemic and working forward, looking forward to the future. And speaking about that, especially now in this transition to endemic phase, what kind of assistance do property developers need most moving forward?
As a property developer, right, we face challenges every cycle. The current cycle, I would say, also again, much like every other industry, is there's a shortage of workers. That would really, really be good if we can ease some of these skilled labor issues as quickly as possible for our contractors. But by and large, the rest of it, if we are in Selangor, right, the authorities are quite. The SOP for submissions and approvals are quite standard. As long as we do follow up closely, we will get our approvals.
I see.
We do have a lot of platforms that assist us in, say, for example, industrialization. Right, bodies like Invest Selangor and all that, they're very good in helping us to identify potential clients and what are the trends for industry of today.
I see. Yeah? Okay.
But really today is all about workers' issues, right? So that is something that I think once it's solved, you will also see perhaps a good rebound in the market as well.
I see. Yeah. Now, we also want to touch a little bit about business parks and how how business parks can actually contribute to the economic growth. However, Datuk Chang, I want you to hold that thought because it's time for us to go for a short break. When we come back, we'll have more with Datuk Chang Khim from EcoWorld Malaysia. Don't go anywhere. back with us on Money Matters, and we're still speaking to EcoWorld Malaysia's Datuk Chang Khim. Now, Datuk Chang, before the break, I promised you that we want to touch a little bit about business parks in Malaysia and economic growth. Now, you've said before that there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to the design and also the building of business parks, and this is because different businesses require different operational requirements. So, in this context, how does your eco-business park make a difference in the township of Puncak Alam?
Well, that's a very good question, right? Eco Business Park 5 is located in Ijuk, Puncak Alam. When we first went to Puncak Alam, there were also a lot of industrial areas and stand-alone factories as well.
Yeah.
And it was scattered all over the place. Organic growth, right?
Yeah.
And people have started their factories as close to the roads as possible. When we went there, we saw an opportunity to organize it as a big park, right, where it will produce, you will say it will produce a mass catchment of investment, of opportunity for employment, for technology, right? Hence we started Eco Business Park 5, which actually comes as gated and guarded as well, if you want it, or it can come ungated. We sell standard built factories like cluster factories, semi-detached or detached factories, but we can also customize the factory due to the requirements of the end user.
I see.
Right?
Interesting. Okay.
We also sell land and assist the factory owner in building the factory if they so require. Right? So it's really a very holistic industrial solution. Right. And we also provide a downstream service whereby if it's a foreign investor, for example, they need help with MITI, they need help with Invest Selangor,
Yes,
or they need help with Jabatan Alam Sekitar. We can also help them to do the submissions, procure certain approvals for them, just to bring them along to make things easier.
I see.
Yeah. So if you go to Ijuk today, you will notice Eco Business Park 5. You will see it beautiful. To us, it's really beautiful, right?
I'm sure it is.
Maybe it's not, but we are really very proud of it because it's almost like a residential area. It has lakes, it has parks, it's green. It provides a fantastic environment for the owners, for the employees of the factories, and for visitors in general, right? And we believe it really contributes to the overall, to the well-being of Ijuk as a whole. Because it's really a new area whereby money is made in a very modern way, with good infrastructure, with really modern-looking buildings, and I think it will be a magnet for even more people to move towards the area in the future.
I see. That's interesting indeed, Datuk. I can't wait to see for myself how it turns out later on. And on that note as well, what support does the Selangor business ecosystem actually provide to you that is actually imperative to your business operations? Well,
Selangor being Selangor is perhaps one of the, perhaps if not the most advanced state in the country,
yes.
right? Amazing catchment of people, population. Klang Valley, being Klang Valley, you know, with all the beautiful traffic jams that people have to endure every day, it just means that there are a lot of people doing a lot of things in this area.
Yes.
Yeah. Selangor is, and Kuala Lumpur and Putrajaya, it's basically one. It's basically one, right? So Selangor gets to enjoy all the financial centers that it is, the administrative centers, the wonderful highways that we already have, right? The ports of entry are all within Selangor. We have the airports, the major airports there, the major ports. The infrastructure of Selangor is actually amazing.
I see.
And coupled together, we being near Putrajaya, we being within Selangor State, like with Invest Selangor, right? They have platforms for networking and knowing other industrialists as well, being foreign or local. Makes things much easier. Much easier. For example, we managed to bring in the FDI of Shanghai Bao Steel, right, into Eco Business Park 5. That was done with the assistance of the Selangor eco-business system. Right? And they managed to set up very quickly.
I see. Now, Datuk, talking about the amazing infrastructure that's available in Selangor, what about your role at EcoWorld Malaysia? How is EcoWorld contributing to Selangor's whole business ecosystem?
Well, through our projects, right, we have quite a number of townships that we already set up in Selangor. For example, up in Ejok, next to Eco Business Park 5, we have Eco Grandeur. It's about 2,000 acres. All right? It's coming up very, very nicely. In the center of Selangor, we have Eco Ardens of the NKVE, and we have Eco Sanctuary very close to the Elite Highway. And down in the southeast, we have in Semenyih, we have Eco Majestic and Eco Forest. When we first started, it's about 4,700 acres, right? So when we first started all these townships, we also create jobs directly because the contractors can go in, suppliers, F&B, restaurants, workers, right? And in the midst of delivery of completed products, right, people move in, that also create quite a lot of jobs for and supply chain for furniture, cooking ware, also F&B, catchment for employment, right? Plus the business park that we have, right, it creates investment as well as employment. So to us, it's quite a holistic business, right? Not only we do it, we contribute directly to the downstream suppliers, but also indirectly, once we've given it to the buyers, they also create their own downstream suppliers and business activity as well.
Indeed. Yes.
So we think it's really something that assists any state that we are in.
Yeah.
Right. And we do our best through our design, to the way we do residential housing or commercial, right, to add extra quality to the area that we are in. Hopefully, the catchment that we are in, find that the housing that we provide has great security, wonderful environment, a better place to live. Right? So those are the things that we see today.
I see.
After 9 years of hard work.
Indeed. A better place to live, a better ecosystem, and also contributing to the state's economy at the same time, Datuk. Well, Datuk, we have more to speak to you about EcoWorld Malaysia, but I'm sorry, it's time for another short break. But we'll be back after this, speaking to the President and CEO of EcoWorld Development Group, Berhad. Don't go anywhere. Money Matters will be back. with us on Money Matters. You're still with me, Azaria Tagaya, and we're still speaking to the President and CEO of EcoWorld Development Group Berhad, Datuk Chang Khim. Now, Datuk Chang, you are doing business in Selangor. So, in your opinion, what are your views on the business opportunities in the state as well as its potentials?
Well, definitely, Selangor is one of the places that any developer will want to do business in.
Indeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Just simply the immense population size, the infrastructure that's already available.
Yes.
The surrounding activities, be it financial or in terms of amenities or entertainment, right? Universities, education, they're all complete, right? We think there are like so many opportunities and to do well in Selangor, coupled with a strong administration, state government as well, right? Because a lot of the submissions are, to be a developer, you have a lot of submissions, right? But luckily, all the guidelines are quite clear. We just have to follow up and do our job well, right? So there are a lot of opportunities in Selangor. Our problem is just that it's not easy to buy land.
Yeah,
it's not easy to buy land, and to buy the right land, the right location, the right size.
Yes.
That's the challenge, right?
A lot of opportunities, but which opportunities to tap into? That's what you're saying, I guess.
Yes. And you know, you want to buy the land at the right price, but Selangor being such a developed state, it's not easy to find land, right? But there are tremendous opportunities in Selangor, definitely.
Indeed, I do agree with you on that, Dato'. And as you said, a lot of opportunities. Selangor is the golden state in Malaysia, the most developed state in the country. And with that being said, what do you think makes it attractive to investors that even foreign investors keep coming into the state?
Oh, definitely, because it's quite clear that for foreigners, the first point of entry is through KLIA already, right? So when you're a foreigner and you survey business opportunity, you want to be where the action really is. Right? So you see where you can find future employees, where it's easy to do, for example, if you are industrialist, where it's easy to set up the factories, right? Where the submissions are clear, where you can find business partners, where you can find the financial centers to arrange your money matters, right? So those are very well established in Selangor, right? Definitely, this would be one of the first spots that they would look at in Malaysia. Yes.
Now, Dato', being in the property development industry, I'm sure you've heard that analysts have said that properties may not be so promising in the post-pandemic era. So first of all, do you agree with what some analysts are saying about the property market, as well as what do you think would be the outlook for the property market moving forward?
Well, we would look at it from our point of view in that the property market is quite sustainable. We've seen it through the sales that we have done, say, over the last 5 years even, right? And it's been quite consistent, right? And it's at good levels. For EcoWorld, we do a variety of products. We do good housing for the young and the professional, as well as all the way to semi-detached and bungalows as well. And we do industries, factories, commercial, right? And with that wide spread of products, we see that the market is especially stable for the middle class, right? And it can be sustained because the buyers that are buying from us today, they are also from Gen X, lesser, but Gen Y, Gen Z, they are growing in numbers, and quite affluent as well. So we see a good future still, right, for the housing industry. Definitely in states like Selangor, especially for industry at this point in time, a lot of foreigners are still looking into Malaysia to invest. The locals are looking to expand as well, right? So we see a lot of good opportunities. We've got a lot of inquiries, in factories, in industry, in Selangor especially, and we are quite confident going forward.
I see. Well, we also have a question about, your green footprint. You do look at the green footprint when you do your development. So with that in mind, how do you keep the business model sustainable? And also at the same time, what are some future developments that are in the pipeline?
Well, green footprint to us comes in, and sustainable is a very big word today, right? sustainable, okay, I will answer in two ways. Sustainable in terms of business, sustainable in terms of environment. Today, we are very big into ESG, right? Taking care of the environment, building communities, strong governance, right? So that is a very key point for us today in the overall business model for EcoWorld. If you have a chance to visit our townships, you'll see that the green spaces are really not only well done, we think well done, but also placed at the right locations. We have re-landscaped a lot of the areas, and we are doing carbon capture studies and to make sure that we treat the environment as well as we can, looking after the waterways and putting employment as close to residential as possible, right? So that is a very sustainable model. But for actual business sustainability, we look at our buyers profile. So our buyers profile has been growing in terms of young age, right? We've got a lot of young people buying in.
Okay.
And their needs and their likes are quite important to us. And we find that within our team, we have a lot of young people as well, right?
Yeah.
We are catching the trends of what people like today, and we think we are seeing the data of what people may like in the future, right? So we have a range of products that suits almost any age and anybody, right? Not only across age, but also across interests.
Yeah, all generations.
Right? All generations, right?
Yeah.
So we think that's important going forward. And it's sustainable, and it's very, very sustainable.
I see. Well, that's interesting, though. And we certainly are looking forward as well to seeing what EcoWorld will provide more for the users in the future. Well, Datuk Chang, it's been interesting speaking to you, but I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this week's Money Matters. Thank you so much once again for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. And thank you to you as well, the viewers, for joining us on Money Matters this week. As always, we'll be back with more money insights that matter next week. Same place, same time. Till then, I'm Azaria Tagaya signing off. Take care.